Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how your free will to choose your identity manifests your entire world. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back, and good morning from the studios of Be Something Wonderful in Las Vegas. We've got a massive video for you today. This is around the idea of imagining your desired end, imagining your desired outcome, or in other words, imagining, assuming, and affirming your ideal identity, your reality, and then living in it and from that. So the whole question came up about free will. When you do that, when you imagine your world, Tom, do others have free will? I've heard teachers say that my specific person and others in my life don't have any free will, that they must act in according to my assumptions. I'm going to talk about this idea because then even the idea, what about me? Do I have free will? Neville Goddard says you have the free will to choose, to assume who you are and your identity and what you want. And after that, you don't have free will. This is what the discussion we had yesterday. This is what Neville Goddard and other spiritual teachers say. I'm going to really hit this whole idea of what free will really means. Remember, you always have free will. That's the definition of it. I've covered that in other videos. Otherwise, it wouldn't be free will. What is will? It's the will to exist, the will to be life and more life, the will to live. That's free. That's absolutely yours. The will, the free will to express yourself as source, as reality. So we're going to uncover all of this today and more. I want to start here. I've talked about this idea that all possibilities exist. All frames or images or memories or events exist in that alternative space of reality, in the field of infinite potential, in the quantum field. Right? In that reality of God, all possibilities exist. All frames of reality, all versions of you, all versions of events that you could possibly imagine exist. And as we light up that future identity or that future outcome or that future event that we want to see, that simple scene of how we see ourselves, then we move into that frame or that identity right now. And that imagined end, that imagined identity changes your horizontal past, who you were and who you will be, and certainly who you are now. It doesn't alter any of your identities. It doesn't alter any reality or lifeline or script. It moves you to an alternative reality, lifeline, film roll, or script. Imagining it from that multidimensional you. Do you see it? It's reciprocal. It's the law of reciprocity, right? You become what you're imagining. You are all realities. And this is you in the current frame. But what happens is in that current frame, we have that solid what seems like solid, appears to be solid, 3D physical experience. And we try to influence and change reality from that frame. That's where the idea of no free will comes up. You don't change reality. You don't change any part of God. You don't change any script or any identity of you. All possibilities exist and will always exist. Otherwise, it wouldn't be all that is. All that is means all possibilities exist. It's only when we try to change certain outcomes, certain possibilities, certain things that we believe is physical manifested reality, is when we feel like we have no free will, right? And you don't have free will to change reality. You have free will to choose who you are and move to the reality of your choice. So you absolutely have free will. Remember, you imagine, affirm your ideal identity now, and it changes your entire experience of reality. From that point, this is why we call it the vertical. From imagining from that multidimensional you, that I am, who you really are, you change your current experience, what you're experiencing presently in your 3D experience, and what you believe is your horizontal past and horizontal future. That horizontal past, that linear past, changes to make more sense to who you are now. That linear future changes to make more sense to who you are now. Who you will be and who you were are different when you're different in the present moment. So you're not altering any one identity, any one film role, any one script. You're deciding who you are right now, and that changes everything. Remember, all of these frames are continually changing. Your vertical or horizontal linear experience is changing in every moment by who you identify as. Who and what you say you are, your assumptions, your beliefs, changes everything. It changes your present experience. It changes what you believe is your horizontal past and what you believe will be your horizontal future. All change from that present moment. So it's not about altering the script. All scripts exist. All possibilities exist. That's why A Course in Miracles said the script is written. You don't change any script. It's when we try to change a script that exists, right? Trying to make it into something else from that current frame is where we tie ourselves or trap ourselves in that script. It's not the same script because the script's always changing, but you continue to create a similar experience from that present moment. You create a similar past and a similar future. Do you see it? So they're always different scripts. They're always different realities. And so when you try to change or influence or are unhappy with or whatever it is, pushing against the current script, then you keep creating that same or similar experience in another script. So it's not about altering the script. It's not about altering the past. It's not about altering the future or altering the present or a version of you or reality. You have no free will to do that. That's why it's not about influencing or changing any of that. All those possibilities exist. What you're doing is moving to a new possibility, a new script, a new version of you that creates a new linear horizontal past you and a new horizontal linear future you that makes more sense to who you're being now. It's about going to and occupying, living in and from your imagined identity now. And that new identity or film role, what we call it, right? We call these frames and we call the whole experience a film role. That new identity or that new film role has a new script, has a new version of events, past, present, and future, and a new version of others, where their free will choice of the version that they are matches the free will choice of who you are and the assumption you have about them. Do you see it? So it's not that even others don't have free will. Of course they do. But the version that you're seeing, you're not influencing any one version. You're deciding who you are, choosing who you are through your free will. Then you move to a world where there's a version of them, where they made their choice that aligns with your choice. Does that make sense? Everyone has free will. Of course, that whole idea of no free will is one way of looking at it. But you always have free will to choose who you are, right? But when you're not consciously choosing, something or someone else is choosing for you, and that's the script. You get pulled into the script when you go unconscious, when you try to influence people and events and circumstances and try to make changes within the current frame, what you believe is the only reality, that manifested reality, as opposed to imagining how you would like things to be and moving to that. That's powerful today. We're going to cover these ideas like we have never before, especially this idea where we believe that others don't have free will, right? Remember that everyone's an individualized point of consciousness, but everybody is also part of all that is. And not only part of it, each one of you are all that is. So this is the whole idea of everyone is you pushed out. It's all connected, right? So there's no free will. That's commonly repeated by coaches and others in the reality creation world. But remember, your will to express yourself as source, as life, is always free. That's the definition of free will. It's your will to exist as existence itself. And you always have that, right? But, hear this, But you are not always acting according to your own free will. That's what they mean. That's what all those coaches and everybody means. It's not that you don't have free will, but you're not always acting according to your own free will. So what's happening? You're being moved, led, and directed by the script. In reality transurfing, Vadim Zeeling calls it the pendulum of thoughts. Others call it the subjective subconscious, or I call it subjective tendencies. You're being moved or led or directed by a script that you didn't choose and that you don't want, right? Because you're not consciously choosing. Unless you're being moved by it, here you are, unless you're consciously choosing and composing your own reality. You have that free will to do that. That's what that means by no free will. When you're not always acting according to your own free will. You're going unconscious. You're allowing the changing people, events, and circumstances in 3D reality, or you're changing thoughts, feelings, and what we call physical emotions to influence you. And now you go unconscious and you're being pulled and directed and led by that script, by those emotions, by those changing thoughts, by the changing people, events, and circumstances. You're following somebody else's script, someone else's reality, unless you're consciously choosing and composing your own reality. That's why Jesus said, and I brought this up many times, but who do you say I am? Right? Not what the script says, not what your changing thoughts and feelings say, not what others say. Right, when he asks his disciples, right, his apostles, they go on and say, well, maybe some say it's John the Baptist, and others say it's Elijah, and others say it's the prophets or Jeremiah. But Jesus points to them and says, presses them and says, but who do you say I am? In other words, what are you consciously choosing as your identity and as your reality? What's your choice? What are you imagining? What are you assuming? This is powerful. So, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? That was his first question to them. That's the question of, that's what he's saying. What's the script say? Right? What's the world say? That's what Jesus is asking here. He starts there. What do the changing 3D world conditions say? What do the inner screen of thought, feelings, and emotions say? Remember, we're talking about frames, or screens, or film rolls, or reality. So we're using that analogy here. What's the outer screen of people, events, and circumstances say? That's what Jesus first asks. And they go on a tangent, saying Jeremiah or Elijah or John the Baptist and still others, or a prophet. But it's not about the free will of others. You have no authority, power, influence over the free will of others. Or else it wouldn't be free will. Do you see it? So it's not about having influence of free will over a script or reality or over others. The version of others that appear or show up in your world or in your experience depend on, hear this, who and what you're conscious of being. In other words, it's about your free will to consciously or unconsciously choose who and what you're aware of. Do you see it? So you still have free will, always, but you're not always acting according to it. And when you're not consciously choosing who you are, that's why Jesus asked that question, right? Are you unconsciously allowing others to choose it? Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? The Son of Man being your I am awareness in expression. Men being the world or the script, or the changing world conditions, or the inner screen of thoughts and feelings and emotions, or the outer screen of people, events, and circumstances. Do you see it? It all fits here. What are you choosing? Are you going unconscious? Not acting according to your own free will. You have free will. Not acting according, and you're acting according to the 3D world conditions. You're being led by your thoughts and feelings in the messy middle of emotions. Or the outer screen of people, events, and circumstances. You're being led by that. The Son of Man is your own I am awareness and expression. But who do you say you are? That's why Jesus asked that question. But who do you say that I am? Not the world, not the changing conditions. Don't go unconscious on me. Consciously choose who and what you're aware of. Then the version of the world and others that appear to show up will be based on your free will of who you chose to be. Do you see it? That's why when we say others don't have free will, I get what they're saying there, but it's not true. Remember, what you're seeing is a version of them that freely chose that version, that matches the version of who you're being. So that's what's reflected in one of your infinite realities. That's powerful today. So, and A Course in Miracles says the script is written, but infinite versions of that script, infinite versions of you, infinite versions of others, infinite versions of the world exist. So each film role, or I am identity, of that infinite multidimensional being that you are, has a specific script. Do you see it? And that script never changes. And neither does that specific I am identity. They all exist forever and ever. They're all God. You don't add to or take away any part of God. You don't change or alter any part of God. What you do is choose what infinite identity that you want to identify with. What film role are you going to identify with? That changes the script. That changes the events. That changes everything in your world. Meaning it's a new world, a new you, a new identity, and a new script. No specific script or identity can be altered. You can't add to or take away from God or infinity or all that is, or it wouldn't be all that is. Instead, you choose either consciously or unconsciously a new identity or a new film role or reality. And that comes with a new script based on who and what you're conscious of being. New version of events across the board. So the question is, are you acting on your own free will? Are you not acting on your own free will? Because that's what consciously or unconsciously means. Are you being led by a script you didn't choose, a reality that you don't want, a subjective tendencies from what you believe have been put in place from your age, from when you were born to 7 years old? Are you allowing those to decide your life? Or the changing thoughts and feelings that are, quote, triggered by what you believe is in that subconscious? Or the outer people, mental circumstances? Or are you consciously saying, I am that I am who I assume I am? That's powerful. The idea of no free will comes in or comes to be when you try to alter the script within any one film role or identity. Each film role, each identity, each reality comes with its own script. You don't change any of those. They're infinite scripts. You are not free to change, alter, or add to, or get rid of any part of all that is. Or it wouldn't be all that is. All things are possible. Either all things are possible or nothing's impossible. If all things are possible, then you don't get rid of, or you don't alter, you don't change any part of all that is, or any part of those possibilities. God, infinity, or the absolute. Or it wouldn't be all that is. All possibilities exist. That's what it means to say with God, all things are possible. Do you see it? So therefore, when you try to make changes or make something happen or influence the script or others, where changes are impossible, because that's the only thing that is impossible. You don't change that. Instead, you move to the script or the film role of your choice, the events of your choice. You have no free will and are being directed or led by the script. That's what that means. Do you see it? You're not acting according to your own free will. You're trying to make changes where they can't be made. And you're directed and led by the script. You're trapped in the script. That's why you feel trapped by 3D conditions at times. Right? For instance, if you can't pay your bills and bills are coming in and you look in your account and there's no money and you keep looking at that, resisting it, trying to influence it, trying to change it, versus going to that identity, imagining that you are that abundance, that everything's working out for you. It doesn't matter that you are that who you say you are. As opposed to trying to influence or make changes where they can't be made. That moves you to the script. That moves you to the miracle, right? That's powerful. Or same thing with trying to change your SP or influence others. Remember, there's only one mind and we're all thinking into it. So there's only one reality and we're all sharing in that one reality, that one thing. But we all have infinite expressions or experiences of it. So here it is. Remember, here are all, imagine infinite frames, infinite images, infinite film rolls. You're always at the center of reality. You are all of this. You are I am awareness. That's you. That's the true you. But you have this experience, this physical experience or focus from which you experience your all that isness. Right? That 0.1% of who you believe you are. But that's an experience. And that creates this horizontal experience of your current frame, your past frame, and your future frames, or a horizontal linear experience of reality. But that's who you really are. There are infinite frames, infinite identities, infinite scripts, infinite possibilities of that pure potential. And you're always shifting frames, films, scripts, identities, not by altering any one frame, script, or film roll or identity. That's impossible. Not by consciously but by consciously or unconsciously choosing who and what you're aware of being. Do you see it? Consciously choosing from that I am awareness, from who you are, imagining who you are, assuming it, changes who you are now, who you were and who you will be. From that center of infinity where you are. You're all of it. Looking out from the center, deciding who you are in this moment. And you're always shifting. You're always shifting frames. You're always shifting realities and scripts and identities. So when you have that similar experience where you feel trapped, it's not the same script, but it's a similar script. And you keep moving to that similar script until you decide that you're somebody different, until you assume you're somebody different. So that's why it seems impossible. But by consciously and unconsciously choosing who and what you're aware of being, when you try to alter or influence any frame or script or film roll, you go unconscious and are not allowing the script, and you are not allowing yourself to move to the script of your desire. Instead, you're allowing the script to have its way with you. You're creating similar scripts, similar experiences, similar frames, similar film rolls, but they're always changing. But you're changing it, they're changing into the same similar experience as you resist, as you try to fight current reality, as you try to change it and influence it, right? That's what we mean. That's powerful. So let's continue. Therefore, you are said to have no free will, when in reality, you're always free to wake up and choose again. Do you see it? It's not that you don't have free will. It's just that you're not acting in accordance with it. You're not choosing in accordance with that free will. Who do you say I am? That's why Jesus asked that eternal question. And that's why he said, but who do you say I am? Remember, he was pressing them. But who do you say? Not Jeremiah, not others, not the prophets, not the 3D world, not your changing thoughts and feelings, not the script. But who do you say I am? Not the script or others, the world, your changing thoughts and feelings, not John the Baptist or Elijah or one of the prophets or others. Who do you say I am? Where is your focus? Where is your awareness? Remember, we showed this. That what happens is when we get trapped in the script, or when we feel like we have no free will, we have that experience of not acting on our own free will, our awareness or our attention is trapped in one of these screens or both of them. The inner screen of thoughts, feelings, and changing emotions, or the outer screen of people, events, and circumstances. We're here or here, as opposed to in the awareness center deciding who we are, where you can still see the people, events, and circumstances. You're still participating in the physical experience of changing thoughts and feelings and changing people, events, and circumstances. But your awareness, but you're coming from that awareness center deciding who you are, that I am. That's why they call it the vertical, having this horizontal experience. Deciding who you are in the current frame decides what linear past makes more sense to who you're being now, and what linear future makes sense to who you will be. Right? Who you are now, who you will be, in other words, who you will be is decided by who you are now. That's what will make more sense. Do you see it? But here, we get trapped here or here in the script. That's what we mean by that. It's always changing. Do you see it? These are dotted lines. They're always changing. But you want to put your awareness here where you can still participate with and as those people, events, and circumstances, with and as those thoughts and feelings, not resisting any of it, staying in your vertical of who you are, deciding who you are, and that changes everything. That's powerful today. So it's not that you don't, let's hit it again. I know it sounds paradoxical, and it is, right? You're a spiritual being having a physical experience. So it's not that you don't have free will. It's that you're not always acting in according to your own free will. You see it? Either you are consciously composing or choosing or creating who you are and your identity, or someone else is. And that someone or someone else is the script, or what we call the subjective tendencies, or what Vadim Zeeland calls the pendulum, or the great subconscious. You're being led by that script that you didn't choose, or you're letting others or the world influence you. That's why in The Chosen, I love to go back to that scene at the Pool of Bethesda when Jesus goes, I'm asking about you. I'm not asking about those events, those changing thoughts and feelings and people, events, and circumstances. Because that just keeps you, not acting on your free will. Remember when Jesus says to him, I get tingles when I say this, when he says to him, then let's go. Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be whole? Do you want to know who you really are? Then let's go. Get up, pick up your mat, and walk. In other words, choose who you are and walk in that knowing. Not being unconsciously led by the script, unconsciously following what others are saying, right? That's powerful. Not letting others influence you, not telling the story about what others are doing or not doing. I'm asking about you. That's why Jesus said that. It's about you. And it's not that you're a specific person or others. I wanted to really hit this idea because this came up again yesterday. It's not that you're a specific person or others in your reality don't have free will. I just want to hit this, right? It's that the version of their free will or identity that appears in your world is based on who you're being. You see it? In your free will and what you're choosing. And the other versions of them that choose differently don't appear in your reality unless your awareness and focus is there. Do you see? You're seeing a different version of them. It's not that version that is not your preference doesn't have free will. It's that all versions have free will. And that you're seeing the one that freely chose that to be that version of them. And it's about your free will to choose what your identity, who you are, your world, chooses the versions of them that will show up in your world. In other words, they did freely choose that identity that you're seeing, right? But it's coming from your perspective as all that is, not theirs when you're seeing it from your world, when you're creating your world. Do you see it? Everybody's infinite versions. So that's powerful. So again, it's not that they don't have free will. It's just that the version of their free will, or in other words, the identity they chose to be, appears in your world. Based on who you're being, based on your free will of who you are. And the other versions of them that chose differently, right, because they have free will to choose, don't show up in your world. They're not in your reality. Wow. That's how your free will to choose your identity manifests your entire world. This was a big video today. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful, for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, for joining us on TikTok at Be Something Wonderful, and our membership channel. Thank you for being a member. If you're a member, thank you for joining. We just had our live stream last weekend. We released a big video also on that same day. That's all available now on the membership channel. If you're a member, thank you. Check those videos out. If you're not, check it out. There's a link below. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude. This is Tom here in the studios of Be Something Wonderful in Las Vegas. Until next time, we'll see you soon.